Hi my love, so today I'm going to be doing another Wear Test Wednesday. I know I've been a little MIA from YouTube. I don't know if I have a video posted for Monday, but if I do end up filming that, you probably have already heard this, but I did recently move, which is why my background is looking very different, and I have been very busy with work. I work the morning shift, which means I have to be at work at 3 a.m. so it's a little bit difficult for me to get stuff filmed and get stuff done when I have to be at work so early. I didn't really take time off for the move, and getting the move situated and unpacking and all of that stuff was just a hassle. So I'm starting off with a clean face today so that we can do our wear test. And if you'd like to see, if you could not tell already by the title, how the Colourpop No Filter Foundation wore for me, just keep on watching. Alrighty, so to start off, I have worn this foundation before, so this isn't a first impression, and what I noticed before when I've worn this foundation is that it's super drying. So for me, I am going to go ahead and try and prime a little bit. So I'm using the e.l.f. Hydrating Primer, and this has more of a silicone feel to it. I don't have the packaging, so I can't tell for sure if it actually has silicone in it, but since the Colourpop foundation is more of a silicone base, I figured this one will probably work out best. Because again, you don't want to use more water-based products with silicone-based products and vice versa, or oil-based, because it's gonna just end up coagulating almost on your face. It's just gonna look kind of weird and separate. So you want to keep it to kind of the same bases. Alrighty guys, so before I get on into the actual application, I want to give you guys some information about this product. So first things first, packaging. So what you notice on this packaging when you first get it is that it is a glass bottle. It has some star detail on it, and it comes with a pump, which is great. This pump does not come with a cap, but it does lock, which I actually really like. I've used other foundations that have the same packaging, and I've never had an issue with travel. So I definitely do like the packaging. It's very compact. It's not super bulky. I think that for a drugstore foundation and just for a foundation in general, the packaging is very practical and it's very user friendly. Second bit of information I have for you guys is the price. So this foundation retails for $12 US, I believe, and the issue that I will say about the price, because although that's a very affordable price point, the issue I found was that you do have to pay shipping with this product. Now, because it's a new product on Colourpop, it doesn't qualify for any of their recent promotions and their recent like promo codes and deals. So I found that this actually ended up being a little bit pricier than originally stated, because you have to pay, at least in my area, $6 shipping to get this sent to you. So that's one of the issues that I noticed, and especially if you are somebody who like really love this foundation and we're gonna continue to buy it, you will always have to pay a shipping price with this, because right now Colourpop is strictly an online brand. So just be aware of that and just kind of take that with a grain of salt. Although it is a cheap price point, you do have to pay shipping and handling costs. Last little bit of information I wanted to give you guys is the shade range and the finish of the foundation that it's supposed to be. So this is supposed to be a medium to full coverage foundation, and it also has 42 shades. I'm not positive on the exact number. It doesn't list the exact number on Colourpop's website, and I didn't want to have to sit there and just count them all out, but they do have a decent shade range. I do like it because it breaks it down by light, medium, deep, dark skin tones, and then in each category, or each, I guess, like section of skin tones, you do have subcategories of different undertones. So for the light category, which is one of the shades that I picked out, you'll have a one shade range that has a neutral undertone that's in the light category, one foundation that has a warm undertone in the light category, one that has a cool undertone in the light category, and so on and so forth. So I do think that the shade range is pretty nice. The only thing I'll say is it is very difficult to figure out your shade online. A lot of the swatches that I saw showed this foundation as being a lot darker than it was, and when I got it, it actually ended up being a lot lighter than my skin tone. Now, I know some of you may look at me on video and say you are definitely not a light spectrum, you're probably in the light to medium, or maybe even just like that first beginning of the medium shade range. I actually never buy medium shade range foundations because although I look a little bit warmer in person and the warmth in my skin makes me look a little bit more tan, I actually am more on the light end of the spectrum. Considering that I do have a lot of that yellow, I am more of a lighter shade, so I picked out one of the deeper shades in the light category of their foundation range. So I hope that didn't confuse you guys, but I definitely think that finding the shade that you will be in this foundation range is going to be a little bit difficult because you can't necessarily go off people's swatches, because depending on their lighting, their camera, your screen resolution, all of those different factors, these shades are going to look a lot different when you view them online than how they're going to look in person. So that is something that you have to take into consideration. You will probably have to buy 1 to at most maybe 3 shades to get that good idea of what your skin tone is really going to match to in this range, and then after that you can kind of later on figure it out and just buy that one shade that fits you. But another thing to keep in mind, you cannot return things to Colourpop, I believe. At least that's what I read on their website, so that is a drawback to this. If you bought multiple shades and you found that they were just way off from your skin tone, you will be stuck with them. So that's just something to keep in mind, and I wanted to let you guys know that because I actually didn't know that when I originally bought this, and then when I found that it was slightly too light, I was considering exchanging it for a different color, but I found that you can't do that. So that was something that I wanted to mention to you guys. Now that I've done all of that, I want to go on into the application method. So if you want to see how this applies, just keep on watching. What I noticed in the past when applying this foundation was that it didn't really go on that well when I used a damp sponge. I don't know if that's because it's a very highly silicone based foundation, but what I want to do now, and what I haven't tried yet with it, is to apply it with a brush. Now if you've ever watched my videos, you know that I am not a huge fan of applying foundations with brushes because I do have very dry skin. But I do want to test it out because I don't want to rule out that this is a good foundation. It's just my application method that doesn't work with it. So hopefully I can get it to look okay with the brush. If not, I think my opinion will be the same as it was in the past, but we'll see how it goes as I apply it. So what I'm going to first do is make sure that the pump is unlocked so that I can dispense the product. And I'm going to dispense 1 full pump for you guys first so that you guys can see the amount of product you would get on a full pump of this product. So that is what you get, and you can kind of see that the texture of this is a little bit runny. It's not super thin in consistency, which I like, but it's not super thick either, which is also really nice if you have more textured skin. Having more thick products on your skin can actually make the skin look more textured because you have more, I guess, product and more of a chance for buildup on the skin. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to take this onto my palette and dip my brush into it. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but this is just a no-named Amazon brush, but it's similar to a lot of like the Sigma brushes. Any dense synthetic brush is pretty much what this is. And I'm gonna go ahead and apply it to half of my face first so you guys can see how it looks compared to just your natural skin. So I'm going to stipple this because I find that when I use brushes, especially on dry skin, the best way to apply it, and you can already see it is slightly lighter than my skin, or at least hopefully you can see. But the best way to apply foundation with a brush to dry skin is to stipple, because that way you don't micro exfoliate your skin. So I will say that I do think that this foundation applies a lot better with a brush. The only thing I'll say, and this is one of the issues that I always have with brushes, is that there are a couple like little brush strokes and brush marks. I'm gonna try to keep blending with the brush to see if it works. If not, or if, not to see if it works, to see if it'll get rid of that. If not, I will go in and just try and smooth it out with my sponge. But as you can tell, the coverage of the foundation is very good, and I just want you to see comparison to this side. I have a lot of redness, I have some breakouts, and my skin just looks very nice, and I think it's pretty flawless on this side. It's really the texture that I'm gonna have to try and figure out right now, but I'm gonna go ahead and blend this a little bit more, and then I will go ahead and apply one layer to this side, and we'll see what one full layer looks like on the skin. Alrighty, so with one full application of product, this is the coverage and the look that we have going on. I will say that I for sure like the way that this applies with the brush method and then using a sponge on top to smooth it out. I actually do think that there was too much water maybe in my sponge previously or something or another, because it actually, although I have less water in my sponge, it's not looking as dry as it did in the previous times that I've tried this foundation. So actually do like the way that it's looking. It's not my favorite because it is still a little bit heavy. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to tell, like on my forehead especially, it is just a little bit heavy, but it definitely is looking a lot nicer than it did. Now I do still have some things popping through. It's not complete full coverage. I did use 2 pumps for my full face. I am going to go ahead and use another, maybe half a pump, I'll say, and just go in and apply this onto my face in the areas that I think I need more coverage. Let me zoom out because I want you guys to be able to see my chin and how it covers, because that is one of the areas that I have some breakouts right now. So I'm gonna take the brush and kind of stipple some more of this product. And I kind of stipple it almost to the point where it's fully blended, but as I've said in the past, there's always going to be just a light touch of brush strokes that I just don't really prefer. So what I'm going to do after I have that down is I'm just going to lightly tap over it with my beauty sponge. And I do think, as you can see, that it does add more coverage. I don't think it's full coverage because I am seeing just a tiny bit of redness still peek through, but I definitely do think that it builds up nicely, and I would consider this a medium full. So not completely full coverage, but definitely higher than your standard medium foundation. Now that I have my foundation applied, I'm gonna go ahead and apply the rest of my makeup. I'll come back and give you guys my initial starting point opinion, and then I will go on into my day and do my full wear test. So just give me a couple seconds. Alrighty guys, so we are done applying our makeup. So this is what we are looking like at our starting point. As you guys can probably tell, it is a little bit lighter than my neck and chest, like I said before. It really is not something that I can change. I did try to add some bronzer and stuff, so it's not looking as bad, but it definitely is still giving me a little bit of a ghostly appearance. So that is something just to keep in mind. It's not that it's flashing back, it's just that it's a little bit lighter of a color. Now the time right now is about 10:52 in the morning, so a little bit later of a start to the day than I'm used to, but hopefully we'll still get a good wear test out of this. It's looking really nice. I do think that it was the application and it was the primer when I first started using this product, because I did wear this about, I would say, 2 other times, and each of those times I found that my skin looked super dry. It was clinging to dry patches. It wasn't giving me any coverage. It really was just a all-around dud of a foundation the other times that I tried it. But I do think that using this e.l.f. primer that has more of that slip kind of base to it, and then also using a brush and smoothing it out with the sponge that is a lot less damp than when I originally applied this foundation, all of this in conjunction made it go onto my skin very nicely. Now I always have issues with texture, and I don't think that using these methods and these products in conjunction made my texture stand out any more than it already does. So I'm very happy with that. So I'm just gonna come in a little bit closer so that hopefully you guys can get a good idea of what our starting point looks like. I think it's very nice. The coverage is nice. The finish is going on nice. I did set my face with a powder. I always do that, and I mentioned that in every wear test video. I always set my foundations with powder. So just so you guys know, if you are somebody who doesn't set foundations with powder, I cannot attest to how this will wear by itself. But if I wasn't to do that, it wouldn't be a very genuine a genuine wear test, because that is how I always wear my foundations. I always set foundation with powder, no matter what the finish, coverage, anything. No matter which foundation it is, I set it with a powder. So this is our initial starting point, and I will go on about my day and give you guys an update in a couple hours. Hi guys, so we are in our first check-in of the afternoon. It's about 4:30 in the afternoon right now, so the foundation has been on for about 5 hours, and I'm in the car right now, so if the camera is moving or anything or the lighting starts shifting, I apologize for that, but I did want to get in an update and show you guys what it's looking like. So far, all I've noticed is that I do have some creasing around my mouth area and around my nose. Around my nose is very typical for me. Every foundation I ever wear creases around my nose, so I'm not upset with that. But yeah, so far we're looking good. I'm not too shiny or anything. The one thing I will say that I've noticed is that I have been transferring, like when I've had my phone to my face and when I touch my face, I am getting some transferring off of my face to whatever like product I'm holding, so onto my hands, onto my phone, things like that. So just to keep that in mind, but so far so good. I'll check back in with you guys in a couple more hours. Alrighty guys, so we're in our last check-in of the night. It is about 7:10 in the afternoon. So I've had this foundation on for around about 8 hours now. I think it's actually been exactly 8 hours because I think I put it on at 10:50. So around 8 hours of wear right now. And so far, I will say I do like the foundation. This is like my final thoughts, and I've worn this for a couple days now, so it's definitely a good full-on review. But I do think it's a good foundation. I think that it looks nice on the skin. It's definitely going a little bit cakey around my nose and around my mouth. Pardon the little blue staining. I did have a blue lipstick on earlier, as you guys probably saw in the first check-in, and I ended up wiping that off to eat and to like just, it was fading, so I ended up wiping it off, and I just applied a little bit of a lipstick to kind of hide the blue, but there's definitely still some remnants, but don't mind that. But it's definitely gone cakey here around my nose and just like around here. I definitely think that it smoothed out a bit throughout the day as it warmed up to my skin along my forehead, and on my cheeks it's looking a lot better than it did originally. So I do think on this area of my face it's gone like worn nicely, but in this center of my face where I typically don't necessarily produce a lot of oil, but I'll get slightly oily, like I'll have a little bit of oil production there, and then I have a lot of dehydration in this area and a lot of cracking because my skin is so dehydrated. So the like lines around my nose and the lines around my mouth, it's settled in, and it's not looking the best, but it's definitely not any worse than I think other foundations I've used have looked. It's definitely, I would say, like a middle of the road foundation as far as that. And it is around 8 hours now, and it's pretty hot now, so it's not like I was going out in like December weather where it's super cool, so I'm not gonna sweat. It's not gonna be, you know, interacting with any like temperature outside. It's just gonna sit pretty much where you put it. So I definitely do think that it wore nicely considering what I've put it through today. Now let me just zoom out so I'm not all up in your face, guys. But I do think that it looks nice. All around, I think that this is a foundation that you may like, but I don't think that it's something you need to run out and buy. It's one of those things that I think the hype kind of surpasses how it performs. So I would definitely say go and check it out if you're interested in it, but don't rush out and buy it if it's something that you're kind of on the fence about. And really do your research, because I rushed out and bought it. Wow, English. I rushed out and bought it, and I found that it didn't work the way that I was hoping that it did, or hoping that it would, but it definitely did work for me in a way that I think is still usable and is something that I will still enjoy using every now and then in my rotation of foundations. So I definitely recommend it, but I don't think it's something you have to like go run out right now and buy. So that's just my opinion. Take everything I said today with a grain of salt, because everybody's skin is different. Even somebody who has the exact type of skin as me, it's still gonna react different to your skin. It's gonna react different to the products that you use with it. So just again, watch a crap ton of reviews, take little bits of information here and there, and see if what people are saying about it is what you're looking for in a product. So all in all, I do give this a thumbs up, but again, it's not like mind-blowing. I don't think it's something that's revolutionary or something crazy that you absolutely need to have in your collection. So that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button if you'd like to see more wear test videos from me, or just more videos in general, and hit that subscribe button and the bell, because realistically that bell is your subscribe button. Let's be honest, YouTube has been crazy lately. And then also don't forget to leave me a comment down below. Let me know if you've tried this foundation, if you're interested in picking it up, or if you've already picked it up, and let me know your thoughts of how it worked for you, because I'd be very interested to see what other people are saying about it, especially people who, in my opinion, like, I love YouTubers, but sometimes I kind of can't tell what they're saying, if it's biased or if it's not, even intentionally or unintentionally. Sometimes I feel like just the mass amount of products they get, they really can't dedicate enough energy into specific products. So because I am a smaller YouTuber and I'm able to do that, I'm interested in other people and other consumers letting me know what they think about products that they really take the time out of their day to test out with different products and see what works for them. So that is enough rambling. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day or night wherever you may be, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye everybody.